Hello again, year two. Hello. Welcome back for another history lesson. Yes, that's right. Today we're going to be talking again about events that happened a long time ago, over 100 years ago. And we're going to be thinking again about a particular person that we're thinking out before who went on a particular journey. Is it ringing any bells? I hope it is, because we are going to have another look at that again today and find out a bit more about what happened on that journey. So let me just share this picture with you. You should be able to see that now. Can you remember what this is and who it was that got on board along with a lot of other people? Somebody that bought themselves a fancy hat for the occasion because they were looking forward to a long journey. Can you remember? That's right. Yes, this is the Titanic, a very big ship, and Delia McDermott was the lady we were thinking about who got on board in 1912, which was 109 years ago. And in 1912, the Titanic set sail from Southampton, which is in England. It popped over the channel to France to pick up a few more people, and then it headed over to Ireland, which is where it picked up Delia from a place called Queenstown. Isn't called Queenstown anymore, as we learnt before, but it was then. And then it set sail from Queenstown, heading towards New York, which is in the United States of America. So it had to cross the Atlantic Ocean. We thought about oceans the other week as well, didn't we? And let me show you now this picture that you'll remember of Queenstown, the people waiting at Queenstown for the Titanic to arrive. Delia was one of 123 passengers who went on board the Titanic at Queenstown, and almost all of them were poor Irish emigrants. And an emigrant is a person who leaves one country to travel to another country. And they were all looking for the chance of a better life in America. Because if you remember, we talked about people in Ireland in those days, lots of them were potato farmers. And there was a disease that had been causing a lot of problems for the potato crops. So people were struggling for money and for food. So a lot of people wanted to leave to find a better life for themselves, and also to be able to earn money to send back to their family and friends in Ireland. And Delia wanted to do that as well. Not everybody on board the Titanic was poor, like Delia was. There were plenty of rich people, members of the aristocracy on board as well. They'd have been traveling in first class, the best accommodation, the best food. And Delia was traveling in third class, which was the lowest class on board. So she got the cheapest seats, the cheapest bedroom, the cheapest food, that kind of stuff. And as I was saying before, the Titanic left here from Queenstown, and then it was supposed to have a 4-day journey to New York. 4 days traveling across the Atlantic Ocean. Now you can fly from London to New York on an aeroplane in just a few hours, but in those days it was a boat or nothing, and that was 4 days of journey. Here you can see the journey the Titanic was supposed to take. Starting here at Southampton, popped over the channel here to France, pick up some passengers here in Cherbourg, and then travel up here to the south of Ireland to pick up passengers in Queenstown, including Delia, and then setting sail to cross the Atlantic Ocean to New York. However, as you can see, the Titanic only ever made it this far to where the red cross is. It never made it to New York. And in fact, here is where it struck an iceberg, a big solid lump of ice, massive lump of ice in the sea. It hit an iceberg, which caused the Titanic to sink to the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. And a lot of people lost their lives, very sadly. And today, we're going to think about a bit about the journey, and hopefully a little bit about what might have happened to Delia. So you should have, or your grown-ups should have received some pictures from me, 17 pictures, in fact, that I have sent to you and your grown-ups, or your teacher will have done that for me. And these 17 pictures, hopefully you might have printed them out if possible, or if not, you've got them arranged on a document or something for you to move on the screen, because you are going to need to move those around a little bit today in order to do the task I've got for you. So if you need to do that, maybe you could pause the video here and print off your photographs, pictures rather, and or set them up in a document so they're ready so that you can move around for what we're going to do next. So if you need to do that now, and then come back and join us. So, if you've got all of your 17 pictures ready, you'll have noticed that some of them are photographs and some of them are made by artists. They're paintings or they're drawings. What I'm going to ask you to do is to arrange the pictures into what you think is the correct order. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, you're going to have to be history detectives again, so I hope you've got your invisible magnifying glasses and you've got your history brains tuned in, because you're going to investigate the main events that occurred on board the Titanic as it sailed to America, and I'd like you to put them in the correct time order, if you can. So have a look at your pictures and see if you can work out which picture you think comes first in time order. And then what happened after that? What's the next picture? And the next one, and so on, until you've ordered them all from beginning to end. Now, I'm not so interested in the right answer at the moment. Of course, there is a right answer of the correct order that they came in. However, what's really important is that you're doing lots of reasoning about it. You're spending lots of time talking about why you think this picture comes first, why you think that one comes next. What is your hunch? What's making you go, I suspect that in this photo, this is, or I suspect this is somewhere near the beginning because, or this must be, oh, this looks like it's near the end of the timeline because. So it's really important to have lots of that talk with your grown up as you're ordering these, because I really want you to explore why a proper history detective has to think, wow, this looks like this, and this is why I think it. I think this comes here before this, and this is why I think it. That language is really, really important today for you being history detectives. So, do you think you can do that for me? I'm sure you can. I'm going to give you lots of time to do that. I'm going to ask you to pause the video so that you can do that and you can order the photographs and the pictures with your grown up, and you can really explore what your reasoning is, your ideas and your hunches and what you're thinking. And then when you've done that, come back to me, unpause the video, because we've got a little bit more to do as well. Looking forward to seeing with what you come up with. Okay? Pause the video and I'll see you in a bit. All right, thank you for ordering those pictures so brilliantly. I hope you had fun exploring them and thinking about what they might be showing and where they might come in the timeline of the Titanic's journey from from Queenstown, sorry, to this point here. What we're going to do now is I'm going to ask you a little question. Now, most of the pictures are photographs, as you've seen, but some of them are not. Why do you think this is? Why are some of them photographs, most of them photographs, and why are some not? Have a look at which images are not photographs and think about what they show. Have a little chat with your grown up and discuss the questions that are on the screen. What do you think is the reason why some of the pictures are not photographs? Pause the video and have a chat about that now and what you think the reasons might be. Have you done that? I'm sure you have. I'm trusting you. Yes, the images that are not photographs are mostly of the time, like here, where the Titanic was in trouble. Here is a drawing, an artist painting of the Titanic sending up a distress signal, trying to attract attention, say, we're in trouble, lighting a flares to show that we're in trouble, we need help. Why would there not be a photograph of that, but there's a painting instead? Now, almost certainly, nobody would have given taking a photograph priority when all these dramatic things were going on. If you think the Titanic has struck an iceberg, there's everyone's panicking, everyone's worried. People are trying to save themselves and their families. They're worried about they might get on board a lifeboat. The ship is sinking. I don't think anybody's going to be particularly worried. Oh, I'm just going to stop and get my camera and I'm just going to line it up and just take a photo. Oh, I'm tipping into the water, but I want to take. That would be crazy, wouldn't it? I don't think people were worried about taking photos when the ship was going down and when they were trying to save their lives. So that wouldn't have been a priority. So what's happened here is artists have been employed to create what we call artists' impressions of events from the accounts of people who were there. So somebody who actually saw these things happening, who survived the sinking of the Titanic and was able to tell their story afterwards, would have told it to an artist and they would have drawn it or sketched it or painted it according to what people were telling them had happened. And This is the difference in history. This is a really good bit of history school. This is the difference between what we call a primary bit of evidence, primary source of evidence, and a secondary source of evidence. Now, primary evidence is first-hand evidence created by someone who was actually there. So the photographs that you saw are primary evidence of what happened on the Titanic. There's an actual photograph that somebody was actually there took. So it's a real bit of first-hand information. Secondary evidence is information that's created a little bit later on by somebody who didn't actually experience it themselves. So, like this picture here, the person who's made this picture, who's drawn it and painted it, was told about it and then they've drawn it. They didn't actually see it themselves. So, we call it second hand evidence. A bit like when, or secondary evidence. It's a bit like when you've had a toy and then you no longer want or need that toy anymore, maybe because it's too young for you now, and then you give it to somebody else. It's second hand. They didn't have it originally. So the information that was in somebody's head has been given to somebody else, and then they've created this picture. So that's what secondary evidence is. Just a little bit of, actually, that's quite grown up history for you there. But it's quite important to know those kind of things, isn't it? Right, I hope you're ready for another job, because I've got something for you to do now that you've sorted your photographs. I would like to see if you can match the pictures that you've got to the right labels. Now, I've also sent out to your grown-ups, and their teachers have sent out some labels, and some of these labels match to certain pictures. In fact, all of the pictures have got a matching label. You may well need your grown-ups' help to read the labels, because some of them are quite tricky, or to cut them out and have them ready as well. So you might want to pause the video and cut out your labels if you've printed them. If you haven't printed the labels, maybe your grown-up can help you copy and paste them into your document where you've made your timeline and put them next to the picture that you think they match up to. Okay? Does that make sense? I hope it does. Read through the labels and see if you can match them to the right picture, and think about why it goes with that picture. And then when you've got your pictures and your labels matched up, you should be able to create a story of the events of what happened on board the Titanic in the right order. Now, at the end of the video, I've got the answers that shows which picture matches to which label, and also the order that the pictures need to go in to correctly show the beginning to the end. But it doesn't really matter if you've not put them in the right order, because we've been using our thinker today and our reasoning to try and explain why we think certain things go with each thing. So it doesn't matter if you haven't got the right answers, but I will give you the answers at the end, so that if you want to, you can move your pictures about and put them in the right order, and then you'll have your own timeline of events, a true timeline of events for the Titanic. But before I show you that, I'm going to ask you to pause the video, match your labels to your pictures, have a good chat about it with your grown-up, see if you can find the right label for the right picture. And then we'll come back at the end, I'll show you the correct answers, and then you can decide if you want to move yours around again. If you want to, you can take a photograph of what you create first and send that to your teacher on Dojo. And then after that, you can, once you've seen the answers, you can rearrange them if you want, and then send another photograph to your teacher to show that you've created your timeline of events for what happened on board the Titanic. I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, you can always ask on Class Dojo, your teacher, or ask your teacher to ask me, and then I can try and get back to you as soon as possible. But for now, pause the video, have a go. Don't forget to come back to find out the answers. Okay, have you done it? Have you ordered all of your pictures and matched them up with the labels that you think go with those pictures? Brilliant. You're a superstar if you have, because you're being a real history detective. It's quite an in-depth thing to do, and I'm very proud of you. So I'm going to show you the correct answers now, and here they are. They show the correct order the pictures come in and the matching label. So the first picture is picture D, and that goes with label 6. And then the second picture is picture P, and that goes with label 16, and so on. So if you want to rearrange any of yours, you certainly can, so that they're in the same order as this, because then you'll have your own Titanic timeline. And if you want to, and you've got those printed out and ready to go, you could stick them all down on a big piece of paper, and then you've got your own timeline. You could put it up on your wall, and you'll always remember the events that happened on board the Titanic. Or if you're doing this on a computer, you can save it all in a big document, However you want to do it, that's brilliant. But I hope you've had fun doing that today, and I hope you've enjoyed being a history detective over the last couple of weeks. We haven't finished all of our history learning. We've got more to do another week. But for now, I'll say goodbye. Oh, I've just thought, we still don't know what happened to Delia. I'm stringing you along. You'll find out next time. Take care, bye, guys, and I will see you very soon, I hope. Have a lovely rest of your day. Bye bye.